Okay, so what is a V7 Audi S4 about? Well, probably the overwhelming factor, greatest attraction to the car is the engine. The engine is a 4.2 litre V8. It has 5 valves per cylinder, so that gives you a total of 40 valves. And I don't think it's the FSI. And it's got variable valve timing, it's got variable inlet track lengths to help with top end, bottom end efficiency. The gearbox is a Tiptronic, which was developed by Porsche, and it's part of the whole group. So you know, Audi uses it, VW uses it. It's a very, very good slush box. It's not as good as a DSG. There is some slip. There's quite a bit of drag when you stop. But it does a good job, and it's a difficult thing to explain, but it actually suits the nature of this car. It makes for a smoother drive, and the long legs of the gearbox suits the engine. Yeah, in terms of comparing it to my GTI, there's much more luxury, there's much more kick. The car feels absolutely solid, planted, everything is heavily weighted. The accelerator pedal, the brake pedal, the steering, it's got good old-fashioned hydraulic steering. All the controls are nicely weighted, high quality. Fuel economy, if you have to ask, about 14, in the 14s, that's liters per 100. That includes some enthusiastic driving, so it's not too bad. I would say if you stay in town and you're going to be in traffic a lot, it's going to be hectic. But if you're doing a mixed freeway town driving, it's really not too bad. It's certainly not any heavier than a double cab bucky, for instance, with a big 4 or a V6. The car has a tremendous amount of character. The sound that the engine makes, both on the exhaust and the intake side, the styling, it's very low, it's very squat, it's very wide. The wheels are actually the Avis wheels that you see on modern Lamborghinis, like the Gallardo, for instance. The Quattro drive, I've never had it before, and I like it. If you've got a powerful car, it should be four-wheel driven. That's my opinion now. You can almost sense four wheels pulling this car along, and I've driven it in the rain at speed, over a road where I know my GTI will eventually aquaplane, and it's rock solid. And I've done on-ramp, off-ramp, 270-degree corners in very, very wet conditions, and no sign of ESP. So you're actually getting the mechanical grip instead of the electronic intervention. The Alcantara seats are quite nice. They're proper Recaro seats. You've got to obviously take care of them. Alcantara will dirty if you don't take care. The car has a Bose or Bose, I'm not sure, sound system with a subwoofer. Very, very, very powerful sound system. It's not as bassy as you would think, but the volume and the clarity and the lack of distortion is what makes it stand out. The boot on this car for a sedan is surprisingly big. It's got a very deep boot, and yeah, it's surprisingly easy to load. Lots of storage compartments. The car has a full-size spare sunroof. You've got a ski load hatch in the back to load through items through the seats. Obviously the seats can fold down. This was all standard. You didn't have to pay for those options like in the BMW it came with. Also in the back you have a fold out cup holder, 2 cup holders, you have a first aid kit. Came with the car. The fuel tank is a bit small for a V8. I think it's a 62 or 63 litre tank. I would have liked a 70 or 80 litre tank. Sport mode on this car allows for about 400 or 500 RPM closer to the red line. Manual mode is very good. Quick shifts, almost thuds into the next gear, and yeah, the torque converter doesn't slip as much. I think this was one of the first cars in the country to have proper shift paddles behind the steering wheel. As far as I am aware, the Mercedes C55 had shift buttons on the back of the boss, and they were not as intuitive to use as a shift paddle. I've found the standard tyre pressures to be a bit harsh, especially for South African roads. This morning I've dropped them to 5% of below the recommended pressure, and I can feel that it's better. I'm going to be doing a drive with some Subaru enthusiasts. We're doing a breakfast run to St. Francis Bay and back to Port Elizabeth. Interesting fact about the sound system on this car is that in 2005 it had MP3 player capability, and you know, while some cars shortly after had that capability, this car had or has 2 SD card slots for listening to your MP3s, and obviously everything works through the sat-nav system. Obviously the car comes with sat-nav, radio, CD, TV, all of those things. Something I forgot to mention earlier is the car has xenon headlights, and actually it has the plus system where, I think that's what they call it, where the headlights will actually swivel as well. And on a performance car like this, the headlights are important, you know. You can often justify not taking the option because you don't drive at night or whatever the case may be, but it will happen, and the car's performance capability will mean that you need proper lights. It makes a world of difference. It's actually really noticeable when you step back into a car that does not have xenon headlights. As far as the controls go, the car has a very nice cruise control system, the way it works on the stalk, and I find it much more intuitive than the VW system on my GTI.